Hey everybody, welcome back to Stratego Freaks for another edition of the King of Strategus. Our current king, Akaboom, I believe is on a 7 or 8 game win streak. We'll figure it out one of these days. And has been playing very impressive Stratego. And obvious, because if you win 7 in a row, in almost any situation, that's a pretty good run. So he's obviously dialed in and playing quite well. I'm going to double check to make sure this is on. And it looks like we are. Let me do this one more time. Why is this not working? Is it live? Okay, good. So anyways, let me get back to what I was talking about here. Akaboom playing exceptionally well. He's got his hands full today because he's up against young Nemesis. And Nemesis, let's take a look at the rankings. And where does Nemesis? So Nemesis is sitting at, it looks to be an ELO of 662, very impressive, in the 11th spot on the leaderboard here. Let's take a quick look and acknowledge some of the players up here. Winner is sitting at 872. Loser Maker and Eagle 06. Let's put our hands together for Eagle 06. Although it's dropped a little bit, it looks like he's down 17 points. He was up over 800, which is as far as Stratego ELO is concerned, that's incredible. So he's clearly evolving his game and getting better, and that's really fun to watch. Kamikaze. Like to see him play a bit more. Sir Keats playing very well in 700. Garufalo, BFG Maelstrom is always up there. Overlord, of course. Napoleon looking very solid at 671, and we already talked about Nemesis, Dave, Lotta Rush, and this top 20 is a bunch of dominant players, and having the records that they have, pretty much showcases their skill. So today I'm looking forward to it. Should be a very interesting match. It's hard to know what to expect from these guys. Real quick, we've got the USA Championship. Let's see who's participating. All right, it's filling up a little bit. Last time I checked in, there wasn't a whole lot of players. But this is going to be very competitive. I like it that there isn't that many. I'm sure we'll get more before the starting date, which I think is on the 18th, as it says here. And that I'm really looking forward to this one. I like to see my American and North American and even South American participants get in there and showcase their skills. So this is going to be really good. Let's back up and see where we're at. What am I doing? Of course, I'm blowing it. And all right, so I played Akaboom in the last match, and I haven't had a chance to do a breakdown of that game yet, but I will be doing that sometime this week when I get a minute. And we played a fairly good game until it wasn't a good game, and I was up 2 majors and a captain, I believe, quite early, and I went into it with the mindset. And it looks like over here in the tournament, Napoleon just beat Winner, so that if we're looking over here at my cursor, that's a pretty big upset, pretty good game from Napoleon there. Congrats to you for taking down the number 1 guy, and that's got to feel pretty darn good for sure. So in today's match, I do not know what to expect. I did have a kind of a game plan, as I always do when I come into a King of Strategus match. I really think about my setup and try to implement it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And unfortunately, when it mattered the most, Akaboom's skill and experience, just he knew what to do at the right time. And looking back on that game, which I haven't dissected too much, but I knew in-game what I could have done differently, and I look to correct those mistakes moving forward. So I hope everybody's having a great new year. 2026 is starting off pretty nicely. and I'm excited. I think this is the year that Stratego really makes its mark, and we're going to continue to promote it as much as we can. I've met a lot of new folks that have joined the Discord recently and on Strategus, and I've been very excited to meet these new players and have some positive exchanges with them. And as I said, my ultimate goal is to promote this game and get it the respect that it deserves. Because if you're like me, you know the beauty of this game. As frustrating as Stratego can be, it is still a skill game. It is, in order to be competitive at Stratego, you need to be dialed in and know all the nuances. And yeah, luck does play a factor, but it's clearly, judging by the best players and their consistency, it's a skill game, and it's really fun to learn those skills. So that's the goal, baby, is to continue to promote it, have fun, and make the community a positive one. Sometimes it can get a little competitive, and sometimes that can bring out the worst in us, but it also brings out the best of us. So if we can continue to be competitive and keep the sportsmanship and the respect at a maximum, I think that's going to trickle down to the rest of the community. And, we can really, play a part in kind of showcasing, there's a lot of new young players that come in from time to time, and kind of leading the way is important, kind of showing these young folks how to play the game and how to behave. And it's not a Fortnite server, where you get online and you're talking about people's mamas and disrespecting them, and it's fun to talk a little trash. I'm not immune to that at all. I do the same thing, but I always try to keep it fun and take my losses like a man, and always show respect when my opponent plays well and beats me. And I always try to show respect when they play poorly and I beat them. You don't need to kind of rub it in anyone's face that you just outplayed them. I just don't think that's necessary. But, to each his own. If you want to get in some people play really well in a tension match. And that's fine too. I love a good competitive match with a little trash talk, as long as we could shake hands at the end of the day and say, good job, bud. That's what's most important to me. My dad, when I played a lot of sports growing up, my dad was my coach in soccer, and I played football, basketball, did jiu-jitsu, did a lot of martial arts, and my dad always, there was a couple times I had a real bad attitude, and he pretty much set me straight real quick. So I kind of have kept that mindset through my whole life, and I've tried to pass that on to my son Nemesis. And he's done a pretty good job. He's a very competitive kid as well. It looks like Akaboom has joined up, and there they go. So really have no idea what to expect. And this should be good. I have Akaboom on the bottom screen here, and this should be good. What's up, Matisse? Hello. Here's Charlie. What's up, Charlie and Smalley? Captain Dirtbag, my brother. How are you? Good to see you. I missed the game, Matisse. I wish I had seen that, but I wish I had known it was on. I would have recorded it. But I bet it was a super competitive, no doubt. A very interesting tournament going on. It's a really, really good fun play to watch. My ELO, getting back to Mantis, is dropped down to like the mid 300s, and that's pretty much typical of me so far. But once again, that my goal is to continue to improve and get better, and maybe have a run or two, and maybe get back up to 500 and hopefully 600. That's the plan. Let's see who's tuning in here. Oh, it's me. Hey, Mantis, you're the best. Love that kid. So 2026, year of Stratego. Help me, people. I need your help. Let's bring in the new people, give them some guidance, point them out to some good coaching material. There's a lot of content on YouTube with a lot of good content for learning. So please Spread the word. Akaboom has a channel too, and his link should be in the description of this match. So if you're new and you're tuning in, if you want to see some good Stratego that's been played, you look over at Akaboom's. And of course, you can always look through the Stratego Freaks playlists, and there's some good coaching on there, among other ones. I watched a really nice video from, and here we go. So Akaboom first to move and an early scout. Bang, bang. Not wasting any time with those scouts and opening up the board. Yeah, both players can exhibit different styles. They're always going to be changing their setup, that's for sure. So I'm not making any predictions about what's going to take place. And there's an early kernel. That was an aggressive kernel. Get some info on that captain there on I3. And that will become a target. Okay, so the left side of the board, we've got Akaboom posting up there, creating a blockade, and now starting to navigate some pieces into the center. And it looks like Nemesis's focus is on that kernel side that's sitting over there on J4. Scout discovers the lieutenant there, and now he's posted up on the right side in the setup. Finds a kernel. So two kernels exposed, one on H4, as you can see, and the other kernel for Nemesis sitting on J4. Nemesis down the lieutenant, but up the two scouts. Will there be an exchange here? There, I believe that's a lieutenant that pushed down to F7 and utilizing that as a scouting piece. And he does discover a major. All right, so the material, the small pieces are going in Akaboom's favor. He's collecting pieces, which is a nice way to start the game. It really puts pressure on your opponent, especially when you head into the mid-end games where if you're down, you're forced to do something. Nemesis coveting that J5 piece, doesn't want it to be known yet. I don't think it's known. And I think that A4 or I4 is still the captain. New piece being moved. That's a hit. Getting back that lieutenant, which is going to need to happen. It's a good strike. And Akaboom moving that F, which is now F4, out of the way. Doesn't want that exposed yet. So could be a piece, might not be. Another scout absorbed by the front row sergeant. And Akaboom down 2 scouts. A little bit of piece shuffling there, trying to figure out how this piece is coming down. He wants to see. Could be anything. He retreats. It really doesn't want to give away that information. Okay. So I believe that's 2 captains. Now the question is, what is that F3 piece? What, is it really a valuable piece or is it not? But I believe there's H4 is a captain and so is I4, I think. All right, that sergeant's getting pushed down. Looking to open it up and discover something here. And that's a bomb. That's a front row bomb. I believe Akaboom did that to me as well early in the game. In the last, it looked like Nemesis picked up on that and may have decided to try the same thing, and it worked. Looking to discover. You know, I haven't seen Akaboom really repeat too much in his setups and openings, so you know, there's no way to tell if he would hit again with a major onto that front row piece. But if you're new to the game and you are watching, you can pick up on certain tendencies that players may have. It's nothing is etched in stone, guys. You know, good players change them all the time, so you can't get too committed to anything. All right, so here we go. This is getting pushed up on this piece. Kind of wanting to force, Nemesis is really thinking about that F3 square. That was a mystery piece that that Akaboom kept secret, and he backed it up, and it could be, it could be anything. It could, clear, probably not a spy, but it could be a colonel, it could be a gen, and it's backed up and hoping that it stays safe. And he's going to hit with that major. And no take back. So comes back, retreats. And he's coming in. He wants to see. And he's posted up on that H4 captain. But the question is, what is protecting? We're going to see here. He takes it. Willing to give it up. Okay. So Aka down the captain and the major. And Nemesis being very aggressive with that major. Not afraid to he was willing to go up the captain and give it up. And he chose right. Okay, mystery piece coming up from I2. And B7, okay, there's the gen. So now they're even on the majors. Good post up there by Akaboom. He needed to get that back, and he did. And he's retreating. That's good information. You're going to want to find those big pieces, and knowing where that gen is important. Time very even. Mystery pieces. So Nemesis down the lieutenant and 2 sergeants. Has the advantage in the scout piece. Another piece coming out. being very aggressive here with this B. Nemesis crunching right now, really thinking of the best possible move here. Not looking to commit with that B piece. It could be the Marshall, might not be. You're wondering if Akaboom would hit if that B4 piece were to go after and try to take that gen. Would he blind spy? And there's a push. And it was a scouting piece. Very competitive game, pretty even. Akaboom, I would say, has the slight advantage there with the minor pieces. Both of these on the I file here, on I7 and I5, are unknown. And it's really hard to, the flag could be anywhere. I'm not even going to make a guess right now. We've seen Akaboom put his flag in some very interesting spots, especially one of those first games he played to start this streak. He had it on the third row. Maybe it was the first game he played. And I don't remember if we know that piece coming down the B file. Nemesis looking to push and attack, and he's coming down. Okay, so that's another kernel, and that kernel absorbed a minor. Nemesis using the minor as a scouting piece, found out another valuable piece. And we'll see. Both Marshalls unknown. And I believe C4 is still the gen for Akaboom. So we've got a kernel known on Akaboom on H4 and the general on C4. So that H, or now G3, could either be, if Akaboom is telling us, it could either be the Marshal or the Spy. Definite possibility. Nemesis taking his time, 10 minutes left on the clock. It's not a factor right now. Nemesis, notoriously slow player. It's something he's been working on. Trying to avoid those time trouble moments, that really plays a factor. Okay. Akaboom moving up that D3 and coming up. This piece is coming in hot. That could be a piece of value. He did the blind spy. Nemesis willing to go for it. looking to hit it. And that changes things drastically now. That's going to give old Akaboom a little freedom now with his marshal. And picks up there, so he's still down the spy now, but gets even in lieutenants, up to captain, and down the 2 sergeants and a minor. You can probably hear some kids in the background. Got some kids playing out in the back. And there's the marsh. And Nemesis down another major. This is big. Now, having the marshal unknown is important. He's going to need to keep that secret until the time is right and see if he can pick up a piece or two. Now here comes the gen. Looking to trap on that piece. And there's the gen there. Coming in and scooping up another piece. So we will see if, because this is going to be down. When you're down the big piece, you need to have an advantage in the lower pieces. And having the extra captain and lieutenant might pay dividends later in the game. Hard to say. Nemesis might go for a lotto at any point to see if he can get back in this. Being down that big piece, once again, is challenging, especially against a really good player. Akaboom out of scouts. And Nemesis holding on to a couple there. See if those come into play later in the match. All right, so Nemesis now down to 1 scout and discovers a sergeant. Really competitive match. You're clearly seeing some good play here. He's going to hit. He's just going to take. So I do not know what that C8 piece is, but it is backing up. I don't think it's the marsh, because the marsh would have taken the gen clearly earlier in the game when the gen was sitting on B7. And Nemesis is bringing his gen across, but I believe Akaboom's gen is sitting on E4. He doesn't want that gen to cross, so he's going to keep it there. So, yeah, he's pinching off a piece here. Looking to see what that is. He'd rather test this unknown piece. And bringing it back over. Okay, the I file, he's coming down. All right, so this looks like a minor to me on D8. I think Aka's trying to get something down and open up, or at least test. Yeah, he's going to test this E9 piece. And that was a bomb there, and now he's down 2 captains. Still up the big piece, and they're exchanging. Now, this is, kind of a question that lingers all, like, is 2 captains worth the major? And it can be and it can't be. It really just depends on what's happening on the board and the other information known. But it's really hard to detect where the flag is now, and utilizing. And I don't actually think that Nemesis's marshal is known. That is being kept very quiet right now. Looking to spring that at the right time, and no clue where Aka's spy was. I know when I played him last, he kept it very quiet and he bluffed a lot of pieces. We might be seeing a little bit of that right now. It could be anywhere. Is this going to be an exchange? I can't remember where the other kernel was. I thought it was on H4. So it's looking like the I3 could either be a colonel or marshal, and he's pinching off that side of the board, looking to take that sergeant that I think is still on J2, and scoop up another piece. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, piece coming down on both sides of the board. Interesting. So he's telling him that IA or I1 is the spy, I think. So this really does look like the marshal here. Because if it was the colonel, I think he would have insta-hit and taken that sergeant. And G3, Akaboom played that really nicely. He's making it very hard to come down and attack that sergeant. Pushing on it. Okay. And it is. So he goes even on the sergeants. The marshal, that was, kind of a, it felt like it was the marshal based off of the circumstances there. And so the spy looking to be either H3 or I1. But then again, it might not be based off of how Akaboom has been playing his last few matches. So it looks like the colonel's pinned down, and this is going to be a real interesting endgame here. Nemesis down to 6.5 minutes here. Remember, there can be no draws, which makes things very interesting, and it puts a lot of pressure on the king, because the king loses if there's a draw, and that would basically put the next two players to compete. I know Aka had a match against Nemesis early, or as we call him, Cookie in German, and they, Nemesis went for it, and if it wasn't for the fact that Akaboom had his flag in a very, very random spot, he would have lost. So Aka played that right at the end game there, put the pressure on the king to go for it. So we know that bomb on E9 is still a problem. Looking to scoot over and possibly attack this H. Now the Marshal does not like that at all. So Aka brings that Marshal back down to stop the progress, and now Nemesis progresses with a piece. Now, is this a lockdown piece? It's hard to say. Aka moves another piece. Looks like Akaboom's trying to get something down. He has all of his miners. That's definitely important. Big piece still a factor. He's coming in. He's bringing that Marshal down. A little bit of cat and mouse going on here. Interesting play happening here. What a great game. This is what we're wanting to see. A nuanced game, ups and downs. At one point, Nemesis was up the big piece. Now he's down the big piece, but he went up to two captains. Real exciting. And now he's pressuring with that F piece, that F5 piece. If Aka takes the D4 piece, that would allow that piece, which probably is a kernel, I can't be sure, and a chance to come down and go after that spy. A little bit of lockdown happening here. Now, is the D4 piece a scout? All right, he's pushing in. Looking to trap this piece. So there's the major Marshall. I think I have it correct. Marshall on E3. I could be way off. Not sure. All right, takes a miner there, gets one back. So bombed in locations for Akaboom are D1, E1, F1, and G1. And for Nemesis, A10, B10, D10, E10, F10, and G10. So still kind of cranking out some confusion here. It's very hard to say. Aka's flag could be wide open. He brings that piece back. And knowing where, I think he knows where Aka's, or maybe not, the locations of both majors. I could be way off on that. So another piece moving out. And it's kind of in a lockdown mode here. Nemesis down to 4 minutes. And this is where it really becomes important to make assessments early in the game, because once you get that, hear that clock dinging, you know you're going to have problems. Exchange. So Nemesis out of majors. Aka has one extra major on the board. I completely forgot its location, if it even is known. My apologies. We do know that the Colonel is on lockdown on J3. Nemesis's Marshal is sitting on I4. And this piece is trying to infiltrate. So that is locked in and not going to escape, I think. I believe it's Major and Marshall trapping that piece there. Really well played game by both guys so far. And okay, I'm not sure if Nemesis is looking to bring down a miner. Yeah, he's bringing something in. So this might be one of those games where decision is going to have to be made, and maybe some luck getting to the flag. Nemesis coming down to 340 in time. Akaboom has 7:26 left. Now Nemesis is, crunching everything right now because this is what it's all going to come down to. Like he was kind of desperate to get that piece down. And it's going to be hard to get any more pieces down. And that spy is still a mystery. It could be anywhere. Earlier he kind of he was trying to say that it was on I-1. Now Akka making sure that nothing else can get down. He's looking to lock off the board with that kernel. And okay, that was not the bomb. He's down another miner. Nemesis down to 2 miners. We know those are so valuable, especially at this point in the game. He's going to have to conserve. Okay. Gives up the sergeant. But on Nemesis' side of the board, he's locked down. There's going to be no miners coming down with the presence of the colonel and the major there. Time is ticking. Nemesis letting the clock tick. This is... Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you. It's going to be desperation time here soon. It's going to have to make a decision. Down to 138. They might be chatting here. I'm sure Nemesis will give it one final push to go for that open flag, if it is indeed open. He's taking. And there's the spy. That little sucker was hiding in the perfect spot. Not quite sure why I don't know what is on F4. But it's looking like G1 is the possible bombed in. I'm not quite sure why he didn't hit with the kernel. I'll have to talk to him and get his insight right there. 51 seconds left for Nemesis. And he hits the flag! Nemesis hits the open flag! That is unbelievably clutch. What a call. I mean, he clearly was behind and on a lot of levels there. And went for it. He lost the marshal, went straight down, had to go for it, and hits it. So, wow, what a great game. Akaboom played fantastic. Nemesis played really well, was down in a bad position there, and figured out a way to get to the flag. And, congratulations to Akaboom for a magnificent run. That's one of the best, streaks we've had. I think that's the second best streak, possibly. And congratulations again, Akaboom. You played like a king. And you lost like one, man. You went for it. You were playing great, and without a little bit of luck there, Nemesis was in a big trouble. So congratulations, there's a new king. All hail King Nemesis. He's back in action, and I know he's got some really competitive games coming up. So that's going to be real fun to watch. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go check out Akaboom's YouTube channel. And I hope to see you soon. I'll see you on Strategus, and I'll beat you there too. Bye.